This is KGW News at Sunrise.
Slightly better news on the horizon when it comes to the current COVID surge. New modeling shows a slow of case rates, but officials say it all depends on Oregonians making the right choices.
The decisions we make over the next few weeks will determine whether we plunge deeper into the crisis of care or we reverse this rising tsunami.
It's been more than a year since the pandemic began, and many small businesses, like restaurants, are struggling because they just don't have enough workers. We look at how some places in Southern Oregon are tackling the problem by hiring people not even old enough to drive.
Wow. All right. Well, exactly 1 year after the start of one of the most devastating wildfire events in Oregon's history, one of the communities that was hardest hit came together to celebrate just how far they've come in the past 12 months. And also to thank the people who have helped them recover.
Good morning to you. Thank you for waking up with us. I keep thinking it's a different day because you take Labor Day off and all of a sudden it's Wednesday.
Pop quiz, what day is it?
Wednesday.
Yesterday I said it was Monday, so I'm with you.
Today's definitely Wednesday because I worked Monday. I'm going to play this all week.
You all to know.
He did not take Labor Day off.
Yeah.
So you had a trace of moisture at your house, you were saying, a little band. Here it is on radar. This rain chance has moved out. Wait for the radar to repeat itself. Here it comes. There's that rain band. Some of us got just a dribble, some of us didn't, but now it's moved up toward Yakima and even clearing the Dalles. Had a little bit of rain out through the gorge. So with that gone, the forecast is back to being absolutely dry today. It's the first day of school out in Beaverton. So good morning to you folks out there. We have partly cloudy skies expected at the bus stop this morning, and it'll be warm, about 64 at 8 o'clock this morning. Sunshine 76 at noon, partly cloudy skies, and back up into the mid 80s this afternoon. The kids get out of school.
Rob, thank you.
Thanks to Oregonians doing your part, modeling is showing that we are successfully slowing the spread of the Delta variant.
Governor Kate Brown there thanking Oregonians for wearing masks and getting vaccinated to help slow the spread of coronavirus. But while COVID-19 modeling is improving somewhat, the governor says she's still concerned. Here's Pat Doris.
The Pendleton Roundup, held September 11th through the 18th, is a huge deal for Eastern Oregon. As many as 50,000 people attend. Governor Kate Brown is usually one of those people, but with the Delta variant still raging in Oregon, the governor will stay home this year.
Unfortunately, Pat, you know I adore attending the Pendleton Roundup, and unfortunately, I will not be going this year. For those who are attending, I encourage them to get vaccinated ahead of time and to wear their masks.
When I asked why she was not going, Governor Brown was clear.
I am certainly concerned about community spread.
Hospitals around Oregon are still overwhelmed by the number of very sick COVID patients, most not vaccinated. The state epidemiologist, Dr. Dean Seidlinger, said the number of new cases for the most recent week available totals more than 16,000, which is 13 times higher than the total for the week ending the 4th of July, which was just over 2 months ago. But there is good news. Researchers believe the virus is spreading a bit slower than before. Dr. Seidlinger said mask wearing and vaccinations help a lot.
The decisions we make over the next few weeks will determine whether we plunge deeper into the crisis of care or we reverse this rising tsunami.
The number of cases is likely to stay high for most of September.
So I'd anticipate, if our current trend and the modeling holds, that we will see those decreases by October. But we can't rest on our laurels. This is not an on-off switch. It's a dimmer switch.
With hundreds of thousands of Oregon school kids returning to classrooms, the Department of Education put out 5 advisories for schools and families. They include all eligible youth and adults who come in contact with school-aged children should get vaccinated. Families with school-aged children and teachers should limit gatherings and activities with people outside their household. Schools should reduce extracurricular activities and hold meals, recess, PE, and other classes outside if possible. Schools should also hold beginning-of-the-year activities like Meet the Teacher Night online, not in person. Finally, families should check their school's website to read the plan for safely returning to classrooms. School leaders say there have been lots of safety precautions taken and there's lots of testing available to make sure the return to in-person class is safe this fall. We'll be watching closely over the next couple of weeks to see how that actually works out. In Northeast Portland, Pat Doris, KGW News.
Well, meanwhile, the COVID picture is becoming more dire for our neighboring state, Idaho. Crisis standards of care are now in effect in North Idaho, which is really just means rationing health care.
Yeah, the reason is a massive shortage there of hospital staff and hospital beds. So with crisis standards of care in place, there could be scenarios where patients who are considered most likely to survive are given priority. In other words, a COVID patient who needs a ventilator may not be able to get one, or someone who is badly hurt in a car crash may not be able to get a hospital bed, or someone who is near death may only receive comfort care as hospital staff focus their efforts on other patients with greater odds of surviving. It sounds terrible to spell out like that, but that's the scenario right now in the northern part of Idaho. The north part of the state has some of Idaho's lowest vaccination rates. State officials say 95% of their COVID patients right now are unvaccinated, and they also say younger patients are winding up in the hospital.
I think that the thing that's really changed for us has been seeing that younger patients are dying from this. And it's quite disturbing to see these patients declining, and they're what I would consider healthy. They're normal, everyday North Idaho people.
The crisis standards of care are only in effect in North Idaho right now, but doctors say it could become a statewide situation if current infection rates continue.
A number of sports teams in Washington have announced new COVID vaccine policies. Fans will need to bring proof of vaccination to Seahawks, Sounders, and Kraken games, as well as college football games at UW and Washington State. This applies to fans who are 12 and older. Those who aren't vaccinated can bring a negative COVID test taken within 72 hours of game time. The same policy is already in effect at Providence Park and Oregon State athletic events. Outdoor mask mandates are slowly coming to Washington. Yesterday, new rules started in King and Pierce counties in the Seattle and Tacoma areas. All people 5 and older, regardless of their vaccination status, must wear masks at large outdoor events. And large is defined as 500 people or more. Oregon already has a similar outdoor mask policy.
It has been 18 months since the pandemic began, and small businesses are still struggling. You can drive around any city and you'll see some places offering incentives to come work or shop there, but it's not helping very much. We spoke to the manager of a small coffee shop in North Portland who says a majority of his sales are just from bags of coffee beans, and he rarely sees his old customers gather inside or out of his shop. There's also a widespread labor shortage, especially in the restaurant industry.
It used to be a very active space where people would be sitting all over the bar and hanging out and talking, and nowadays it's usually just me with a couple of people filtering in and out.
Yeah, Joseph says how they're running right now is not sustainable. He isn't sure how long he can continue to work 10-hour days.
It's the same situation in Medford, where this sign is getting a lot of attention right now. 2 different McDonald's in Medford are so desperate for workers, they're hiring 14 and 15-year-olds.
Really short staffing. This starting at the 14-year-old level right now, so we could probably bring in some more employees.
McDonald's has also increased employees' pay to $17 an hour for certain positions. So this takes us to this morning's Sunrise poll. We're asking, how old were you when you got your first job? You see the choices there on the board right now. We just opened this poll up a few minutes ago. Right now, though, the leaders are those who started working between 14 and 15 years of age. 42% of you chimed in with that answer. So the options are on the board. You can weigh in by going to our KGW Sunrise Twitter page, or if it's easier, you can text us. How old were you when you got your first job? 503-226-5088 is the text line. 1 year after the Beachy Creek fire exploded in the Santiam Canyon, the community of Gates came together last night to celebrate really just how far they've come.
They really have. Community members organized a special dinner outside the Gates Community Church of Christ. After the fire last year, the church and community organizations set up an emergency relief station in the church's parking lot. They served 3 meals a day through Thanksgiving. Bruce Bailey and his wife were among those who benefited after losing their home in the fire. He says he almost never missed a meal. The couple organized this dinner to say thank you.
It got to the extent when one day I didn't show up here I got a phone call, and somebody was calling me from here and wanted to know where I was and whether I was okay and whether I was going to come for the evening meal. That's the level of caring that was going on.
Yeah, that's really wonderful. So the city of Gates, it does have a long way to go to rebuild, but people say coming together like this reminds them that they also have so much to be thankful for.
Great to see that event last night there, Rod, in the town of Gates. I know you have a lot on the plate this morning as far as the weather goes, so why don't you get to it?
Here we go. So we had the little disturbance that came through last night. Maybe you got a little spritz, maybe you didn't. But that disturbance is mixing up the air, giving us more of a westerly wind flow aloft. And that should clear out that smoky haze that came in yesterday afternoon, and that was part of our big weather story. Now, with all of that said, everything on the map, John Day, Madras, Salem, Clackamas County, Eugene, Bend, still under air quality alerts today. And the air quality did deteriorate to the moderate zone last evening. And that's basically where we are now, the yellow dots between Portland and Salem. But I bet we get back into the good zone as we go through the day. These other red, purple dots, that's really bad air quality again. Continuing into Deschutes County, that's Bend, Sun River area. All right, good visibility this morning. The shower chance is gone. But with the clouds and the haze last night, it never really cooled down much. I mean, we're just now out at the airport getting below 70, PDX at 68 degrees. Here are the other numbers. So if you're an early riser and you're going to get yourself out the door, everybody right now holding in the 60s. Sandy's even at 60, Salem 61. Clouds have started to clear and temperatures are falling at this hour. Here are the other numbers. Look at the Dow, 74. Had some light rain move through the gorge last night as well. Good morning to you folks. 62 out in John Day. So not as warm as yesterday. PDX, by the way, looks like 89 was the official high yesterday. Salem gets back up to 88 today. Kind of a partly to mostly sunny day as we move forward on this Wednesday. Battleground 83, Vancouver 85 degrees. We have 80s tomorrow at 82. Maybe a spritz of rain, some cloudiness on Friday. The bigger story here is probably the 75-degree temperature and then the 70s through the weekend into next week. Remember, next week, you have to work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
You don't have to. But you will, Rod. Thank you. All right, remember those yellow Live Strong bracelets from Lance Armstrong for cancer awareness? So many people wore them for years as a universal symbol. Well, now a group is doing the same kind of thing for COVID vaccines. How you can get one coming up. Plus, questions are circulating on social media about whether it's a HIPAA violation or patient privacy to ask to see your vaccine card. Our Verified team takes a closer look after the break.